Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for a news episode. I should say a new series, Andor. It's part of the Star Wars realm. Andor, a Star Wars story, I guess it is, or Star Wars, an Andor story. I don't know how they're just saying Andor on IMDb, so that's what I'm going with. Welcome everybody. I'm going to be doing episodes 1 through 3 since those dropped. I was going to try and do them individually, but you'll see where I'm at when I get to the spoiler version of this. Let me take care of some business first, and then we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos. My vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you feel like you're lucky or you want to gamble a little bit, you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube may or may not notify you when I come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week, and sometimes a little bit flexible on that one, but I'm usually here on time. Also, I have the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well, like YouTube, Facebook, all that kind of stuff that's on there. All right, let's get to it, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episodes. If you have not seen them, go and watch them. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Giving you enough time to run away, do whatever you need to do. All right. So again, I'm going to reiterate what I've said before, and some of you longtime, listeners, watchers, all that kind of stuff out there know, I am not a fan of Rogue One. Um, I'm also not a hater of Rogue One. It's just there. I don't need to ever see it again. It happened. I watched it. Wasn't impressed. Also wasn't put off by it. I just didn't care about it. So didn't think this prequel was necessary. This prequel of a prequel. So yeah, this is kind of an unnecessary territory. And also, after seeing the creator of this series, Tony Gilroy, all the other stuff that he's written, I understand why I'm indifferent to it. This is the man who wrote and directed The Bourne Legacy, the one with Jeremy Renner, the one that everyone hates. Uh, yeah, he's also Michael Clayton. He wrote that. Nightcrawler. There's various other things. There are other things in there that there's one thing that he did write early on, one of his first things here that he wrote. And it's the movie with DB Sweeney and Maura Kelly, called it's basically a figure skating movie, which is great. Hey, Marks. Um, that's the only movie that I like of his that he wrote. Everything else, I'm not a fan of. So I'm sorry, dude, but yeah. So I know this was supposed to be a Star Wars movie, a Star Wars story that was not Star Wars. That was pretty much what I've read, what he wanted to do with this. And Cutting Edge. Thank you, Joe Greer. Yes, Cutting Edge. That's the name of the movie that he did. That was the only one I actually liked, was Cutting Edge. The rest of the stuff that he's written and directed, I'm not a fan of. So it's understandable why I wasn't a fan of Rogue One, and kind of why I'm indifferent to this whole series at the moment. These first 3 episodes. So before I start here, I know I'm kind of rambling on at the moment, doing a preamble, if you will. Pre-ramble. There we go. There's 12 episodes to this season. Why? These first 3 episodes could have been condensed into a 1 hour episode and been done with it. It just takes that much time to get through it. It's slow, it's plotting, and it goes nowhere. Quite frankly. Uh the flashbacks also are a detriment, I think, to this series. You kind of wink out of the present day, I guess you could say. You go back to his past immediately, and then you wink out of those just as immediately and go back to, his present, if you will. And it's really not that great of a of a way of doing this. Sure, you understand where Cassian comes from, and also his name is Casa. Is his name with a K instead of a C? We find out what his real name is. That he was on the planet Canary and kind of living almost like a tribal existence, if you will. And we also get the introduction of this group called the Preox-Morlana, which or the Premor is what they're called, and essentially what they are, they're kind of like the Empire Light in a way. Only they're the mining or the mining guild, if you will. They're the ones who basically mine all these planets. So Canary was strip mined, is really what's going on, and Canary really isn't talked about. It's especially in the Empire. Because it was strip mined and it was an ecological disaster because of what they did to that planet. And rightly so that no one talks about it because it's an embarrassment to the empire, I guess you could say. So at the time that Casa was taken from Canary, was during the Clone Wars. So the Republic was in vogue at that point, and we actually see in a flashback that Casa was taken from the planet. And by the way, this is my biggest bone of contention right now about this series, and it comes about in episode 3. Um, Casa is taken from Canary uh, by a white woman against his will, away from his family and from away from his sister, and then pretty much inducted into a life of crime is pretty much what it is. And no one has an issue with it. Everyone who has been reviewing this and really likes it kind of glosses over the fact that it's and I'm just going to say this outright. It's a colonial tropism that's been done. You have a white woman that drugs a little brown child and then inducts him into a life of crime and never brings him back to go and find his sister. So I'm sorry, but I was watching this at one point, like my mouth kind of fell open. I'm like, no one's saying anything about this, and everyone's okay with this. This is my biggest bone of contention of this series. And I say this as a white person, okay, that this kind of thing was kind of disturbing, quite honestly. I'm sitting there looking at this and I'm going, wow, Disney, that was the best you can come up with on this one. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of this series, mainly because of that, but also just because it's boring. Um, we have Cassian looking for his adult sister in the beginning of all of this, and he's looking for her at a brothel because that's where he thinks she's at, which is over on Morlana 1. He's actually living on Phoenix right now with his abductor, Marva, and has been living there. And Marva is more up there in years now. And we get introduced to a couple other characters, Bix, who you can tell had a history with Cassie, and they might have dated at one point in time, although she's dating this guy, Tim, now. Tim with two M's. And when Cassian actually goes to Morlana 1 to look for his sister, he runs afoul of two Premors and kills one accidentally and then has to kill the other one because, otherwise he's going to get captured and turned in. And he thinks he's getting away with it, but of course, people remember him from the brothel that he was in, that when he was asking questions. And so, of course, they get his name, they know where he lives, and they're going to go search for him. So, of course, Cassian ends up, he's going to sell some piece of equipment, some Imperial piece of equipment, and he wants Bix to set up with her buyer, who is called Luthen Rail. Luthen Rail? There we go. Something like that. Played by Stellan Skarsgård. And Stellan Skarsgård's character, of course, we know is part of the Resistance. He's part of the Rebels. And at this point now, the Empire has taken over. The Rebels are in their infancy. We know this is 5 years before the Battle of Yavin because it actually tells us in the first episode when the present part takes place. So, yeah, it's I don't know, man. Um, so there's a firefight that ensues, and Luthen takes, Cassian with him, and they take off planet. And that's kind of where we leave off after the 3rd episode. And like I said, this really could have been condensed down to 1 episode and done tighter and well, um, instead of just dragging this shit out with all the different flashbacks and stuff like that. It really didn't need to be this long. You could have done 1 episode for an hour long, or you could have done 2 30-minute episodes or 2 40-minute episodes, if you will, and condensed those 3 episodes into those 2 episodes. Yeah, it just was that long and kind of boring. So, yeah. Um, and just so you know, I ended up actually looking at the robot, the little robot, the droid that's his robot, and actually was Marva's robot to begin with. Um, that droid's name is B2EMO. Now, if you say that out loud, it's B2 emo. B2 emo. Now, I don't know if that was conscious, what I think it was. It's a or if it was just, a joke on the writer's part, Tony Gilroy, I don't know. I know he did not want to do this prequel. He really did not want to do this prequel. It's been known, it's out there in articles and things like that. And I'm wondering if he's just self-tanking it. Um, I don't know. We know there's 2 seasons of this. There's 24 episodes that we have to look forward to. I guess you can think that. But yeah, I'm not sold on this. It was a character I didn't like to begin with. It's a character I didn't care for, I should say, to begin with. He's dead. We already know he's dead by the Battle of Yavin, and I don't see the reason why we needed a prequel for it. A prequel of a prequel. Um, yeah. Star Wars without Star Wars is yeah. We have other TV series for that. So, yes, I know you want to see what other stuff is going on within the Star Wars universe, other planets and stuff like that. There are other stories out there that don't need to be this boring, quite honestly. So, if I was to give it a point system, if you're saying out of 5, I would say it's a 1.5 star. There you go. Out of 5 stars, it's 1.5. It was that painful to go through, quite honestly. And the whole thing with the abduction, with nobody actually even batting an eye about that. That's the thing that just really kind of makes me wonder what the hell people I mean, people are complaining about a lot of stuff out there. Granted, there are some things that are overblown, quite a bit overblown. I mean, the whole misogynistic stuff that's going on right now, out there, especially in the MCU and stuff like that, way overblown. And then you have something like this where yeah, it's just kind of glossed over. Man, yeah. Mork says, "Give me Master Luke from the extended universe and Mara Jade." I don't even need that. Thrawn, we're going to be getting Morks, so Thrawn is coming up. But yeah, I honestly did not need to see Cassian Andor. I really didn't care one iota about Cassian Andor and his background. So, so this might be my one and only on this one, depending on how episode 4 pans out. I'm fairly sure episode 4 is going to pan out to be just as horrible, but we'll see. And if it is, yeah, as my 4 episode rule is, if I don't like 4 episodes in a row, I'm done with it. Yeah, and that's where I'm sticking to on this. So, yeah, enter at your own risk is all I'm going to say. Andor is in the past, right? Yes, 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. They plainly state it right on the screen at the very beginning of episode 1 is that it's 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. Um, yeah. So, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow I'm gonna do. Excuse me, I keep getting beard in my mouth there. Tomorrow is going to be the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and air genre stuff you guys want to talk about. And we talk about it. There is going to be some news here and there, so I'll do something. Monday is going to be House of the Dragon. Tuesday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? I don't know what I'm doing as of yet. I haven't found anything, so I might Tuesday might disappear. We'll see what happens. Wednesday may or may not be episode 4 of Andor. We'll see what happens with that. Thursday will be She-Hulk, because She-Hulk is actually pretty damn good. If you're not watching it, you should be. And then Friday is going to be Lord of the Rings of Power. And that's where we're going to leave off right there. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the day. Thank you to everybody who joined me today in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right. With that said, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, everyone. I will see you again tomorrow for the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may be bored to tears by Star Wars that isn't Star Wars. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night. Take care. Be well. Take care. Be well. Stay safe out there. Wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and get the boosters as well. And stay safe out there. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your night. Good night.